Our company was Carlsberg, and my group was Amber, I'm Savannah, Brooklyn, Dara, and Lula. So a little bit about our company. They're an international brewing company. They have about 40,000 employees throughout their regions that they're in. They have over 140 brands. They're in 150 markets throughout Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and Asia, and they export to over 100 different markets worldwide. So their vision and their mission statements. Vision, probably the leading beer company among the world. Their mission is to be a dynamic leader of quality beers, and it is also to bring its exciting brand, innovative culture, and its committed teams to which it brings people together and add more enjoyment in life. And their value statement is in pursuit of better, and not just better beer. We brew to create a better future for all of us, brewing for a better today and a better tomorrow.
So now to talk a little bit about the history. It was founded by J.C. Jacobson in 1847. It was named after his son Carl, and the Berg is in reference to the hill the brewery was built on. It was the first ever industrial research lab. Now, they decided that they were going to share all of their findings with all of their competitors. They didn't really care about giving away their secrets. This was due to they wanted to make sure that the customers had a chance to get other products from other competitors as well, instead of just having to settle on just Carlsberg. Now, they weren't entirely worried about the profits. They just wanted to make sure they had the best beer on the market compared to their competitors. And this also would entail having the lowest prices for their beers, which is the whole point of them not caring about their profits. Carlsberg wants to work towards a sustainability. Their quote is "together towards zero." Now, this means that they wanted to increase the shelf life of their beers, find new ways of filling kegs, start to use a biodegradable paper bottle, and then use snapback packs. This is all in due to help reduce waste, because they don't want to have as much waste in like green energy. So they wanted to go away from that and go towards a zero, like a net zero. So now to talk about the industry analysis a little bit, we used the Porter's 5 house forces model. We broke it down into the high intensity forces and then the low/medium intensity forces. For the high intensity forces, we decided that it was going to be the competitors/rivals and the buyers/consumers. The reason for the competitors/rival forces being so high is because the competitors have a high percentage of the market share compared to Carlsberg, and that will steer away like the customers that they would want to have away from them and going towards the customers that are like also in the same industry. With the buyers and consumers, the buyers, they choose whether or not they want to actually indulge in this industry, if they want to go through with drinking beer or not. So therefore, they have a high intensity force. They have a lot of buying power. With the low and medium intensity forces, we said that suppliers is one of those, mainly because Carlsberg and other companies, they have a high name, like a big name. So they don't have to worry about the suppliers having bargaining power over them. They actually have more of the bargaining power since they are a bigger name and they can just go somewhere else. For the substitutes, you don't really have to worry that much, mainly because the customers that are coming into the beer market are going for the beers. They won't want to go for the substitutes, so therefore it's going to be more of a medium type of intensity force. With the new entrants, it's very low, mainly because in this industry it is hard to survive as a newer company because the bigger companies have such a big market share. The only way that a newer entrant could actually maintain themselves is if they find a new competitive advantage over the bigger named companies, but usually that doesn't tend to happen, so therefore the new entrants aren't that big of a deal.
So here you have the SWOT analysis of Carlsberg. Within their strengths, they have 4 great strengths, which is distinguish them from their competitors, which is the brand loyalty, the market share, the brand recall, and geographical coverage. They are well known in for more than 140 countries worldwide, with about 31 to 54% national market shares. Carlsberg have a memorable market that is quite distinctive, that would always keep their loyal customers coming back for more. Over the years, due to a strong market, the company itself created an image in the minds of the customers that would make them who Carlsberg is as a brand with their strong market campaigns. Then you have their weaknesses. With every strength, there is a weakness. Carlsberg bear lack of product line, cash flows, and decreasing financials. The company may have a strong, loyal customer base, but they are dependent on 2 international beers, which is their Tuborg and Carlsberg itself. They need to make their products as dominant as others. With their lack of cash flow, Carlsberg needs to increase their product share and revenue from emerging markets due to their recognition in their developing countries in order to gain that extra leverage. And then also Carlsberg is like the company that have great financials, but they have a decreasing revenue and profits. You also have their opportunities. Carlsberg have three likely opportunities, which is their power of suppliers, brand loyalty, and consumers' willingness to buy beer. Bargaining power of the suppliers will be a high for Carlsberg because the suppliers have a concentrated into a specific region, and their concentration is higher than their buyers. So Carlsberg can definitely strengthen its position against the suppliers by decreasing their dependency on one of their few suppliers. With that being said, it will increase the price sensitivity. So together with the brand loyalty and the consumer's willingness to buy beer, Carlsberg can introduce their new products and targeting new market segments with which would build their loyalty by embedding their innovations and offering excellent customers experience that can raise the switching costs. This will strengthen the competitive positioning of the market. Lastly, you have their threats. It consists of like the competitors and substitutes and their new product. Their high substitute threat shows that like the customers can use their alternative product services from other industries to meet their needs. Carlsberg fails to realize the substitute product can offer the same or like superior quality and performances that's also offered by Carlsberg products. The company can like avoid this by improving like the quality, maximize the value for the money, and set strong differentiation basis to discourage the customers from using the substitute products.
So, when assessing the company business at a business level strategy, when looking at Carlsberg's strategy by collaborating, it allows them to challenge their competitors to see if they can last in the market or die out because they lack the skills to either innovate or produce a different product. Then, when looking at the structure of the company, the higher ups of Carlsberg make sure that everyone is company in the company is respected. So that's a great company dynamic because it shows that the company is very ethical. However, when looking at their management, when looking at their systems, management is constantly looking for new ways to reduce their company cost and increase their revenue. However, they always make sure to look that every innovation that they look into for the future is very environmentally friendly. Then, when looking at the values, they speak for themselves because they strive to be the best, and that's what every company strives to do. However, when they implement it in their company, that shows a lot, and it can make buyers want to buy them and people want to invest them. Then they are constantly brewing to make sure their customers are happy with their products because when your customers are happy, they're more likely to stay loyal to your brand. And then they change their packaging because it costs less and it's more environmentally friendly, like Brooklyn mentioned about their reusable bottles. And then they change their staff is always working to create new ideas that help the planet and their clientele stay friendly and happy. When assessing the company on a corporate level strategy, we had four different things we kept in mind. So they're constantly seeking new investors because, as Lulu said before, they are decreasing in their financials, which can be very bad for a company because your financials are what supports your new ideas and innovations. So by doing so and in seeking new investors, it allows the company to gain assets that fund ideas and collaborations with other companies, like we mentioned before in our workbooks. Then mergers allow Carlsberg to control a larger portion of their industry because by merging with other companies, it gives them a bigger market share of their industry, making them a bit more powerful than a smaller company. Then brand loyalty allows them to stay constantly relevant in their consumers' mind and world. And then this allows the company to gain free advertising because if someone is constantly telling their friend about their beer that they like or a product that they like from Carlsberg, it's going to keep going through the word of mouth and through the grapevine. And then lastly, by investing in a new product, a company can stay up to date with the trends flowing through society, allowing them to gain knowledge on what consumers like or dislike. And lastly, identification of strategic challenges. So we kept three in mind. So the first would be products currently are currently available for purchase that are made by Carlsberg. So this eventually ends up helping to understand what kind of company Carlsberg is. And lastly, what they are trying to sell and focus their business on. For the most part, they sell beer but have some non-alcoholic options. And they know many people are starting to stray away from drinking. Reasons being they're trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle, especially with a pandemic going on, not trying to engage in alcoholic beverages. So people just choose not to drink it, or they don't want to drink it, or they just want to maintain their lifestyle.
So for the ratio analysis, this is showing how Carlsberg beer is doing financially, how their financial health is doing. So we're going to be looking at these following ratios. So first is the current ratio, and this shows that Carlsberg is not holding on to too much inventory, which is good, especially with the coronavirus. But then the quick ratio shows that they're having a hard time paying their current liabilities, which leads to having debt, which next in debt to equity, this ratio shows that they do have a lot of debt, which is one of their biggest issues. Their accounts receivable is fairly good. It's average for the company and compared to other companies like their competitors. And then for earnings per share, during the coronavirus, their stock went down a lot in comparison to past years that Carlsberg has been a business. This is kind of expected, but because in other countries other than the United States, the coronavirus is getting better, bars are opening up, and people are able to drink more than they probably did when their country was more shut down. Their stock has risen back up to about what it used to be. And then next is the price per earnings ratio. This number is fairly positive, so they are a little overvalued right now, but that's better than being undervalued and having a negative number, so they're doing very good with that. And then lastly, for return on assets, this is very low, which is expected because they've had lower revenue during this year because of the coronavirus mostly. So then just an overview of what the ratios mean. One of the biggest issues is, like I've been saying, is the economic issues. And this is mostly due to COVID-19. It just changed pretty much everything. So Carlsberg had to make a lot of adjustments to new processes and procedures, mostly because bars closed. So this decreased a lot of their sales and revenue. So they had to figure out what they were going to do to make this up, because people also were not going out to buy beer unless they were really dedicated consumers of Carlsberg or other beer companies. And then also on top of that, there was a management fraud in India operations. So with also having to deal with COVID-19, they had to deal with the fraud as well, which is not a good combination at all. And then lastly, one of the other biggest problems I discussed was Carlsberg has a lot of debt, and they really need to work on lessening it and eliminating it, and then also try to increase their sales to boost up their revenue again. So lastly, we have conclusions and recommendations. So the first thing that we recommend is Carlsberg to continue finding new investors to gain additional financial support. Like with the ratios, this really helps them get out of debt and continue being successful in increasing their revenue. And then the second thing is to learn the new ways of the market. So this allows ideas for a production line to flow easier. Then lastly, number 3 is to merge with companies that can gain new and existing customers to increase brand loyalty. So Carlsberg has merged with a few companies in the past, but they can, especially today, they can always become bigger and better and work on new things they can do to gain more customers and be more successful and make their customers even more happy than they already are, and gain customers by word of mouth or various other things through brand loyalty. So that is our presentation on Carlsberg beer. Thanks for watching and listening.